This week, the Oregon Secretary of State has announced that Oregon's primary elections will go on as planned, even in the middle of the coronavirus public health crisis. Mail-in ballots will be sent to Oregon voters at the end of April and must be returned to county election officers by May 19th. Candidates have resorted to online digital campaigning instead of in-person campaign events, and we're here to provide online information as well. Today our focus is on the 1st Congressional District in northwestern Oregon, where Representative Suzanne Bonamici is facing multiple challengers in the Democratic primary. Welcome to Oregon News and Views from Social Advance. I'm Alan Zundel.
And I'm Charles Dunaway, reporting from my home to prevent the potential spread of coronavirus, hopefully. Oregon's 1st Congressional District is one of 5 congressional districts in the state of Oregon that elect representatives to the U.S. House. Each representative serves a 2-year term, with elections taking place in each even-numbered year. Often referred to as CD1, Congressional District 1, on this map you can see is colored reddish-brown and is in the northwestern corner of the state. And here's a map with a close-up view of CD1, this time colored green. You can see that CD1 extends east from Oregon's northern Pacific coast near Astoria, follows the Columbia River south through the west side of Portland, and then hooks again toward the Pacific coast. Democrat Suzanne Bonamici is the incumbent for the district. She's an attorney who started her political career in 2006 by winning an open seat in the Oregon House of Representatives. She moved to the state Senate in 2008, and in 2012 she won the CD1 seat after the incumbent resigned. Bonamici is generally regarded as a moderate Democrat who votes with her party. She endorsed Hillary Clinton for the 2016 Democratic presidential nomination and voted for Clinton as a superdelegate at the national convention. In this election cycle, she isn't facing strong Republican candidates, but she does have some vigorous competition in the Democratic primary.
The population of CD1 is about 84% urban despite large rural areas, and thus regarded as a safe seat for Democrats. Almost 37% of voters are registered Democrats, while only about 23% are registered Republicans. Most of the rest are not affiliated with a party, but they tend to vote Democratic. Bonamici has won re-election every 2 years with vote margins of around 23 to 31 percentage points over the Republican candidate. The general election is not much of a contest. But let's take a quick look at the Republican candidates anyway. This year there are 2 candidates on the ballot in the Republican primary, both of them the longest of long shots to win the general election. Christopher Christensen, known as Chris, is a consumer finance specialist from Beaverton. His website consists of the single page you see here and so far doesn't have any information about Christensen or his views. Armedia Murray, known as Army Murray, has a nursing background and is also from Beaverton. She doesn't have a website, but she does have a Facebook page where you can find out more about her. She says she is a supporter of President Trump and an opponent of big government and abortion. Neither of the Republican candidates has held elected office, nor had either of them raised at least $5,000 by the end of last year, which would have required reporting to the Federal Elections Commission. And we haven't been able to locate any media coverage of their campaigns. As I said, the longest of long shots for this congressional seat.
The Democratic primary is usually not much of a contest either, as the incumbent Bonamici has huge advantages in name recognition and in campaign finance donations. In the last 3 elections, she won the primary with 90% or more of the vote. Here you see the results of the 2018 primary, in which her 2 competitors each got not quite 4% of the vote. Bonamici regularly raises around $1 million in each election cycle, while her primary challengers raise less than the $5,000 reporting threshold. By the end of 2019, she had already raised $500,000 for this election cycle and still had more than $500,000 on hand. According to the Open Secrets website of the Center for Responsible Politics, Over half of Bonamici's donations came from PACs or political action committees. About another third came from large individual contributions, and less than 10% came from small donations of less than $200. But this year is a bit different. Reliance on big campaign donations has become a political issue for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. As a result, Bonamici has attracted 3 active primary opponents.
Amanda Siebe is a disabled rights and environmental activist who entered the race in May of last year. She aligns her campaign with Bernie Sanders and the Squad in the U.S. Congress, supporting Medicare for All and the Green New Deal. She also supports a number of other policies, including raising government benefit levels to the equivalent of a living wage. Siebe has a well-designed and highly informative website. It has detailed positions on a variety of political issues. She has been actively campaigning both in person and online in social media and interviews on YouTube. I interviewed her last August, and here's a clip from that program. What led you to decide to go out and seek this office, considering how big of a challenge it's going to be?
Oh man, it's going to be a huge challenge. Bonamici is worth $6 million, and she still takes money from big corporations like Nike and Intel, and she takes super PAC money and lobbyist money, and meanwhile I'm living on $735 a month in Social Security disability. But what really got me to run for this office in particular is Bonamici's unwillingness to listen to the disabled community. We're all advocates for underrepresented communities and trying to be voices for those communities. We're trying to work for social justice and economic change. We're working for environmental change and ensuring that all people have the right to live a healthy lifestyle. And
What do you most want people to remember about who you are as a candidate and as a person?
social justice and government reform.
You can find the full interview on the Social Advance YouTube channel and through a link on the videos page of our Social Advance website.
Heidi Brionnes joined the contest just last month. She works as an insurance salesperson. Brionnes decided to run when Andrew Yang suspended his presidential campaign, adopting most of his policy platform. On her website, Brionnes recounts how she struggled to make a living after college and how Yang's promotion of a universal basic income inspired her to get involved in his campaign. She also supports universal health care, public financing of small donor campaigns, and ranked choice voting. Here's her video on universal basic income.
So my big idea is universal basic income. What is universal basic income? Well, it's three things, obviously. It's universal, and it's basic, and it's an income. So it's providing an income to citizens at a base level and to all citizens. So Andrew Yang's proposal was $1,000 a month for every citizen over the age of 18. If you look at other countries that have been able to have social programs and figure out a way to pay for them, they've used something called a value-added tax. It's incredibly hard to avoid. It's not easy to get out of it. Every single transaction in every phase of production has to be taxed by a value-added tax. So if we had one that was just 10%, which is what was proposed by Andrew Yang, we'd be able to fund a freedom dividend of $1,000 per month for every American citizen.
The final Democratic candidate for CD1 is Ricardo Barajas, known as Ricky. He's the manager of a dental practice and, like Siebe and Brionnes, has never held elected office. He ran against Bonamici in the 2018 Democratic primary and, as we saw earlier, obtained only 4% of the vote. Barajas has a social media presence, but his website is basic and still under construction. It does give brief descriptions of his positions on a variety of topics. He has listed some of his top issues as ending homelessness, improving the Affordable Care Act, the Green New Deal, and immigration reform. Here's a clip from a video on his Facebook page.
Really quick, we will be challenging the incumbent for a debate. I think it's time for the incumbent to be challenged on her record. What has she done in the last 8 years that she's been in office? What has she accomplished? What bills has she introduced, a co-sponsor, and so forth. I think every elected official should be accountable for what they have done, what they have introduced, what they have passed, or what they're fighting for.
If Siebe picks up Bernie supporters and Brionnes picks up the Yang supporters and Barajas some of the Hispanic vote, it's likely that these three candidates will cut into Bonamici's usual 90+% of the primary vote. However, it's also likely that whatever anti-Bonamici vote is out there will get split between the three of them. Yet another argument for adopting star voting, as if we needed another one. Siebe seems to have them best organized and most active campaign, so we predict she'll come in second in the primary, but strange things have been happening in politics these days, and who knows? Maybe another one of the three will come in first.
Next week, we plan to look at the primaries for Oregon's 2nd Congressional District. Join us via our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter accounts for Social Advance. A couple of days ago, I did an interview with Albert Lee, who is running in the Democratic primary for Oregon's CD3. You can find that and my interview with Amanda Siebe on our YouTube channel or through the videos page on the socialadvance.org website. You can also find links to other videos and podcasts there, including Charles' podcast, A Wider View.
This week, my guest on Wider View is journalist and columnist Patrick Lawrence, whose work is found mostly on Consortium News these days. In addition to the link on our videos page, you can find my podcast at widerviewradio.podbean.com and on Google Play, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and remember, the single most important thing you can do to win a campaign is to have a campaign.